Hey everybody, I just saw Memoir of a Snail, and it's easily the best animated film of the year. I know most people subscribe to my channel because of another desaturated claymation film about a girl with a troubled childhood. So my goal with this video is to make you go, hey, this also looks right up my alley. I should go buy tickets and see that. Supporting films financially is really important, and especially for smaller films like this. The next big Disney movie does not need your money, but this does, and even if you have something like AMC A-List or Regal Unlimited, you are still financially supporting the movie nearly as much. So please vote with your wallets that you want more films of quality like this, and less ugly, soulless pieces of shit like this. If we the consumers want the film landscape to get better, and want to allow talented directors like Barry Jenkins to make real movies again, then this movie needs to fail financially. This concludes my public service announcement. Anyways, what was this video about again? Oh yeah, Memoir of a Snail. This movie was phenomenal. The director Adam Elliott is one I've had my eyes on for a while. He's made only one other feature, Mary and Max, which came out 15 years ago, which really shows the dedication to his craft and the amount of time and work he's clearly willing to put into these projects. I've also always loved stop motion as a medium. There's just a look to it that I really adore, and it's just such a perfect medium for both of these films, because it's such a detail-oriented form of filmmaking, and both of these films' scripts often put seemingly insignificant details to the forefront. That specificity is part of what makes these characters charming and feel real. It's also a form of animation that often looks a tiny bit janky and even a little creepy, which also complements the environments and stories in these films. I've also always noticed that crying in stop motion films always looks more real than other forms of animation, and oh boy do the characters cry a lot in this movie. And with stop motion, there's just such a physicality of it that really helps me emote with them. Even though in the back of my head I know it's not water because of how stop motion is accomplished, I never questioned it. It always looked real. And I just found out that it was accomplished with lube, so that's something. You can also see in this article that the fire was done entirely with cellophane, and that was also an awesome choice. The fire in this movie always looks awesome. Before I went out to see Memoir of a Snail, I decided to rewatch Mary and Max, which I hadn't seen in about 6 years, and there was definitely a lot I didn't remember about the film in terms of events and the story, but the two main characters are so memorable and likable and empathetic that I never forgot about them. They completely stuck with me. Mary and Max have very unique struggles. They are troubled by things that very few films attempt to tackle, and their struggles are presented in an incredibly genuine way. Some of the most real-feeling animated characters I've ever seen. There are very few animated films that pull up my emotions in this way. I love this movie, and if I were gonna rate it, I'd give it 4.5 stars out of 5. And if you watch both of these films, especially back to back, you'll notice how similar they are. These stories seem very autobiographical. Memoir of a Snail even has a protagonist making stop-motion animations, which just makes it extra overt. But I have to assume many of the details that are in both of these films must just be life experiences that the director has had firsthand. Both of these films include deaths in families, lots of alcoholism, weight gain, pen pals, gambling, bullying, and lots more. Which is to say that these films get a little depressing at times, but they're also very silly. Maybe not super laugh out loud funny, but there are a lot of quirks to the characters that are just entertaining in a funny way. It's not all depressing stuff. These movies also have jokes about farts and testicles. There's also just so much heart to these movies. Adam Elliott's characters are so real feeling. I always feel like he chooses to tell stories about people who you'd rarely see stories about. I know many viewers will find themselves relating to the characters in this movie more than other films because Adam Elliott explores aspects of people that most movies are scared to touch. Most films, especially animated ones, that get anywhere close to exploring these types of topics usually feel watered down to get a better MPAA rating or appeal to a studio, but this just felt so much more artistic. Even if you don't personally relate to everything that embodies a character, you can still always tell that they're being expressed really genuinely. It had awesome animation. I loved the character designs in particular. Big improvement in terms of scale, all the sets look great, and they were able to have a lot more environments and allowed the story to go in so many different directions. It just felt like a really thought out and well realized world that was created for this film. It honestly felt a little longer than 90 minutes, but that wasn't because it was slow or boring, just so much happened and was explored in the story, and by the end it was so nourishing. It had a really good complementary score. Perhaps the score to Mary Max was a little more memorable, but I also found it to be a little too repetitive. There's a lot of memorable lines from this movie. It's also just a really satisfying narrative. As I said, the movie gets very dark at times, and there are some moments that are kind of heartbreaking, but it's only because you care so much about these characters. But it also knows how to balance out the heartbreaking and heartwarming moments. The ending wrapped everything up so perfectly, I was honestly blown away. I'm still trying to decide which film I like better. Right now I think I'm siding with Memoir of a Snail, but there are definitely things that I do like a bit better about Mary and Max. There's sort of a simplicity to that story that I really enjoy. But as I said, this is easily the best animated film of the year. I absolutely loved it, and I'd give it 4.5 stars out of 5. But there's a small possibility that I will end up giving this movie a 5 out of 5 at some point. See you soon. I have a bunch more videos on the way, and they should come out very quickly. I'll see you then. Bye.